we start this story 10 years in the past. And hey guys, this is the Unsmooth Criminal. So I'm going back to my roots of Naruto, because I had a really great idea and I want to get this one out, and I can't stop thinking about it. I can't think of anything else but for the illness one right now, mental illness Deku one right now, because I'm thinking about this. So I'm getting this out, and then I'm going to go back to thinking about that. This is going to be a once a week series. I'm going to try to get the illness one done as fast as possible, so I can get this one out faster for you guys, so I can move on to new series. Because I'm trying to slow down and actually complete series, because I hate how I'm not completing series. So this is going to be a weird one, and I've been deliberating about how this is going to happen, and I think I have a way to do this. So this starts 10 years before we're going to get into to Naruto, because it's female Naruto. It starts 10 years before, because she's 10 at the current time, and it's the Nine Tails attack. So instead of Minato using the Reaper Death Seal, the Nine Tails just wants to be free. So he doesn't want to openly attack anybody. He just wants to be left alone outside of a host, as far away as he can be from anybody for a little bit, so he can reflect and go back to his roots of wanting to help people instead of attacking people randomly like he used to. And he got to know Kushina Uzumaki, Naruto's mother, and he told her about this desire to go back to his roots and connect with his father again. And she understood, because she wasn't well known by her parents, because when her mother gave birth to her, her mother just disappeared, because Hiruzen wanted to protect her from the CRA, which is a dumb law. But, So, we go to the end of the battle. Minato is currently passed out from chakra exhaustion, and a certain snake was hiding underneath the fight, waiting to see what happens, because he's curious about Minato. So he goes up to Minato and draws some of his blood, because he wants to experiment with it, and he hears a crying baby. He sees a dead Kushina, which he has mad respect for, because she would thoroughly whoop his butt if he did anything horrid. But since she's dead, he doesn't care anymore. So he takes the baby and disappears with it. Hiruzen shows up and sees Minato passed out, picks him up, takes him to the hospital. He's just chakra exhausted. When he wakes up, he's flipping the frick out, asking where his daughter is. The entire Anbu is sent on a mad scavenger hunt for his daughter. The Inozukas, the Hyugas, because he threatened to basically kick them out of Konoha, because he knows all their secret dealings and whatever they're planning to do if they don't help him find his daughter. Well, we skip 10 years to the present day, and Naruto is just walking through a tunnel, and she walks up to a wall and taps it. Walks further down and taps it. Walks further down and taps it. And she knows exactly where she is. She's underneath Konoha. The Inozukas and Hyugas, because they've been doing this mad scavenger hunt for 10 years straight, because the Hokage is basically going crazy for his family, because Kushina's dead, and the only one he knows he has left is Naruto. And currently she has a mark on the back of her neck, the right side back of her neck. It looks like the Tomoe in a Sharingan. It's a curse mark. She has a fox tail and fox ears. She has fangs. Her eyes are the shaped fox. And she has claws, and she keeps walking to different areas and flicking the wall, which makes a thud sound on the wall, which they hear above her, because she doesn't know the way out. She doesn't. And she's starting to get nauseated from this dead smell. She knows exactly what that dead smell is, and she just needs to get out of there because it's starting to get worse and worse. So finally, the fourth Hokage finds a entrance in a random field. He runs down, storms the entire laboratory, sees that Orochimaru's dead, and that there's footprints towards Konoha. Bloody footprints. And then they disappear at one point. And then one spot is damp, footprints appear again. They just keep following until they see a little girl with fox ears. This is all blonde hair. Fox ears, a fox tail, curled up in a ball with rags on. Very malnourished. It's been 10 years of her being tortured, well, she doesn't really actually have eyes. She used to. Tortured, trained, and experimented on by Orochimaru. As soon as he could, he taught her chakra. And then once she unlocked her chakra, it activated something in the seal, which a female voice started talking to her. So she started hiding, she hid the female voice, and the entire time the female voice was gritting her teeth and trying to make her stay sane. The entire time she was trying to keep Naruto sane. And finally, 10th year, Naruto, on her birthday, gets rescued. The hospital does a blood test, and they don't see any similarity to the fourth Hokage. They see similarities to Hashirama, Tobirama, Madara Uchiha, a random Hyuga. They don't see anything linking the fourth Hokage, though. But they do see Uzumaki in her genetics. And they're all confused. Like, how the hell is this kid born? And finally, after like a month of her recuperating in the hospital, with an IV, obviously, so she doesn't die of dehydration and malnutrition, she wakes up, rips out the IVs, and body flickers out of the hospital. She body flickers to a specific house and walks into a room, sits down, and just waits there. Because the female voice told her to do so. And she knows the female voice as Mom. She doesn't know the name of the female voice, but it's Kushina Uzumaki. Yeah. I'm about to explain that. So when the fourth was sealing Kurama, and I'm going to have to do something real quick. Okay, so my headphones are recording this, so yay. I had to check that real quick. So, Kushina has been leading her daughter down the path of good, but she's mentally breaking. Kushina has been the only thing keeping her slightly sane. So currently she has two modes. One is the friendly mode, and then if you tick her off or do something to hurt her enough, she goes to psycho bitch mode. And I'll explain that later. So, the curse mark was placed on her when she was 4 years old. And once Orochimaru placed the curse mark on her, the curse mark went from black to red to orange to a mixture of red and orange. It looks like a yin and yang version of red and orange. So part of it's orange, part of it's red. It's a mix. And he doesn't know why. But in the seal of the curse mark and the 8 trigram seal, Orochimaru appeared. And he saw Kushina and Kurama. And Kushina looked at Kurama, and Kurama looked at Kushina because they have a mutual respect. And he just nodded, and she blitzed Orochimaru. That Orochimaru died. The curse mark was gonna leave, but then Kushina saw the benefits of the curse mark and reverse engineered it from within the seal. Because she's a seal master, like her husband. She reverse engineered it, and the seal is now part Kurama and part Uzumaki chakra. So that's why she has ears and a tail. And Orochimaru saw this and was like, ooh, let me experiment with that. So her regeneration, instead of just being super fast in canon, is ultra fast. So it's twice as fast as canon. And her durability is 5 times more than canon. So a swing from Kubikiri Bocho to her gut wouldn't even pass right through her like canon would. It would stop at her gut. It would take Zabuza like 3 swings to go through her. And the harmful chemicals that the curse mark originally was supposed to pump into her system that make them dependent on it were changed to helpful chemicals. I'll explain that later. Most likely at the end of this. So, we go to a few months later, after Minato has talked to this little girl and found out her name was Naruto. And he started crying because that's the name of his daughter, because he planned it to be that. And he went into the mindscape to see if it's the right person, and saw Kurama and Kushina and Naruto. And he saw that the cage was open. And he asked Kushina if she opened it, and she said no. He asked Kurama if he forced it open, and he said he couldn't. No matter what he tried, he wouldn't be able to touch the seal. That's how strong it was. And he looked at the little one, and Kushina said, I've been teaching her sealing. For the last 5 years, well actually 6 years, I've been teaching her sealing, and she has learned the Flying Thunder God and the 8 trigram seal. And he goes, what? And she goes, yeah, and all the seals I know. And he goes, what? So after a while, he leaves the mindscape, and he's just completely dumbfounded at what Naruto has been able to achieve with just the tutoring of his wife, her mother. And he sees that she's all cheery and happy. And he says, what happened to your eyes? Because they're blank white with a weird pattern in them. We skip back 2 or 3 years, and Orochimaru says, I have done it. I have given the last of my materials to make the perfect eyes for my perfect vessel. And he looks at Naruto, who's currently sleeping on her bed, and he wakes her up. Kushina tells her to go with him and just play along. And he walks her into the lab and rips out her eyes. And he takes the eyes from the jar and gives her new eyes. They're a mixture of Hyuga and Uchiha Mangekyo Sharingan, or EMS actually. Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan eyes. And how that happened is he got a hold of Itachi's Mangekyo, or Itachi's blood, and Shisui's blood. He grew a Itachi and Shisui, and he combined Itachi's eyes and Shisui's eyes, which happened to be the right combination to make a EMS. Just saying that. I'm not going into any further detail with that, because that's just going to get weird. So he's been doing this, and when he gave her the eyes, he did not expect her to immediately adapt to the eyes. The eyes immediately took hold and started to increase her perception by 30-fold. It took her maybe a year to get used to the ability of the Byakugan and the Sharingan's increased perception. The Sharingan can't turn off, obviously, because she's not a pure-blood Uchiha, or pure half-blood, whatever. And another thing is the EMS was also influenced by the pure bloodline, which is going to be Sasuke's line. And if you guys know the Legacy fanfic, which I suggest you guys go read, I'll leave a link to the Storm Videos audiobook version, because that's the one I listen to. Yeah. Madara and Sasuke's lines were the brothers that Indra had as for children. So yeah. Though Itachi really has an EMS, and Sasuke does, but they don't know that. And but Itachi's illness is gonna make him go blind on top of him dying. So he thinks he's a half-blood. There's something on my phone. I gotta get it later. So after maybe 2 or 3 more months in present time, Naruto finally gets permission from her biological father to go outside instead of just staying locked up in the house, which she was perfectly fine with doing, but she wanted to go out and get some fresh air, but he wouldn't let her until she knew how to hide her ears, at least. And she does wear a long jacket, and this jacket is very puffy, like Hinata's. And if you guys know my normal style, it's Yuri, so yes, this is going to be Yuri. And it's going to be canon person, Hinata. So she starts walking out, and her ears are hidden underneath her hair. Her ears are hidden by her hair, actually, because she has her hair down. She has her ears hidden underneath it, folded down. It's really awkward for her to have that. She smells something really, really freaking good. So she goes towards it, and she sees that it's a ramen stand. Yes, I'm making her addicted to ramen. And she sees an older man with a scar on his face. If I remember correctly, it's across the bridge of his nose. Heavy duty. No. G.I. Joe reference. It's going to be Iruka, obviously. And ever since Danzo learned that Orochimaru has died, and that Orochimaru's test subject that Orochimaru was even scared of had blonde hair, whisker marks, and had colorless eyes with a strange pattern in them, he spread the rumor that the QB has come back in human form. Yeah. And that the QB can't be killed, but the QB is trying to invade the village. So all the bystanders started running away from her when they saw her. And the fourth didn't know about this rumor. And she walked into a ramen stand, and she was still very skinny, super, super skinny. Like, deathly skinny. And I think it's Inuichi? No. The owners of the ramen stand. God damn it. I know the name of the goddamn ramen stand. What the hell is it? I can't remember at the moment. But she walks in, and he doesn't care who it is. As long as they're hungry, he will feed them. He sees this hungry little kid, and he sees his teacher, and he goes, So he starts asking her questions, getting to know her, because he doesn't care who it is. And he was going to ask at the last second, or at one point, do you want some ramen? And she asks, what is ramen? And he goes, noodles. It's something delicious. Let me quick whip you up a little bowl. And he has bowls for kids. Like tiny mini bowls, half the size of a normal ramen bowl that you see in the anime. Kid size. And she eats it, and she looks visibly happy. And Iruka sees this and writes on a note to the cook, I will pay for 2 more ramen bowls, because she looks severely unfed. And he nods, and he whips up 2 more ramen bowls of 2 different types. 1 shrimp, 1 beef, because she just had a chicken. She tries both of them, and she prefers the beef over the shrimp and chicken. And then the 4th Hokage walks up to the ramen stand and sees the little one and says, just get her as many bowls of ramen as she wants. I'll pay for them. And he goes, yes, sir. And he makes every single kind. Vegetarian, pork, and the rest of them. I can't list anymore right now. Because there's multiple different kinds of vegetarian, and there's multiple different kinds of setup for meat. And he cooks them all, and she eats them all, and she likes pork ramen. A version of pork ramen. That is a little bit more juicy than sweet or savory. And he goes, okay, that will be your normal. You come in, and since you're very different than everybody else, and in a good way, I'll notice who you are, and I'll give you your usual. And he bows to the 4th Hokage, and he says, that was a good workout. I can't wait to see her next time. And he goes, yeah, maybe in a week, maybe 2 days. I don't know. But I'm coming with her every time. And he goes, my usual too. And he goes, yes, sir. And he whips up his beef ramen, because I'm going to make sure that everybody has a different kind of ramen. And he goes, I heard you found your daughter. And Iruka hears this, and Iruka, being a good friend of the 4th Hokage, because Iruka is a teacher, and all teachers are friends with the 4th Hokage, because I want that to happen. And he starts listening in, and he goes, yeah, it's this little one. And Iruka's like, what? I just paid for the 4th Hokage's daughter's meals. And the 4th Hokage goes, thank you, by the way. She went poof, and I all of a sudden found her here. And without them even noticing, she placed her hand underneath the seat and placed a flying Raijin mark underneath the seat. And after she was done, Iruka left. She left, obviously, and 4th Hokage started talking to him and wanted the gossip of the town, because he uses, Inuichi. It's Inuichi Yamanaka. No. Whatever. I'll find his name later. He uses him as the person for gossip, and he only says it once. He just listens to his patrons, and he doesn't talk back about any of the gossip. And no one can hear past the sound barrier that the fourth Hokage set up for every single shop. He set up a sound barrier to once they walk into the door, everything that's heard in the shop stays in the shop. And he did this so when he goes to Ichiraku, there we go, Ichiraku ramen stand, he can talk to the owner and be perfectly fine. So he's talking to the owner, and he's done getting gossip, and he heard that there's apparently someone walking around spreading that the QB has come back in human form, and it's the shape of a little girl. And he said that the description matches your little girl. And he looks visibly pissed. And he knows exactly who would do this. And he walks right up to the Saratobi compound and rings the doorbell. Hiruzen walks up because he saw that the fourth Hokage paid him a visit, and he says hi to the fourth Hokage, and he says hi back, and he says, "We need to talk." And he goes, "Okay, come in." They go into a private room. They talk for a little bit. They come out. And he goes back to his office, and he sends out every single Anbu to locate Danzo. And he has a mole in route, because he's smart about that. He put a mole in route. He put an anti-sealing seal on them. So Danzo can't put a seal on their tongue, so they can't talk and say what. So they can talk and say what the information is. So this root agent shows up while all other Anbu are out, and he starts guarding the fourth like an Anbu person, because he's part Anbu. Official Anbu instead of root. And finally Danzo is found, and Danzo gets summoned by the fourth. He appears in front of the fourth, and he gives a gesture. Danzo's head gets taken clean off. Yay! And he walks up to Danzo and sees that the bandages are starting to fall off Danzo's head. So he takes the bandages off and opens his eye and sees it's a Mangekyo Sharingan. And yes, the Uchiha massacre already happened. Danzo didn't expect for the fourth Hokage to immediately chop his head off, so he didn't activate Izanagi. Or is it Izanami? One of those two. So all of his Sharingans are still in peak condition. He finally releases the big bolts on his arm and sees that his entire arm is pitch white, and it has multiple Sharingan on it. And he's just completely disgusted. And he puts out a wanted alive Uchiha. He wants this Uchiha alive. Itachi Uchiha. And he says reward of 1 million for anybody who has legitimate information about Itachi Uchiha's location. And he put in the bingo book, wanted alive to pardon crimes. So he immediately tracks down Itachi. Hi, Jack. Hi, buddy. My cat Jack just found me. Hi, buddy. Yeah. Yeah. But he's wanted alive, so he finally gets there. And, oh look! Fourth Hokage is waiting at the front gate. Itachi walks up and says, hello, Lord Third. I mean Fourth. And he goes, well, you know that massacre I had you plan? That was Danzo's doing. And he drops Danzo's head in front of him. And he cleared out this entire gate so Itachi can arrive and not be glared and looked at wrong. And it's only Anbu there. He dropped the head, and the head fell on the floor, and it showed Shisui Uchiha's left eye. Or right eye. It's one of those two. No, it's his right eye because Danzo had his right eye covered. Hi, Jack. Yeah, I love you, boo-boos. Cat really wanted some attention. And he wants more now. Great. So, while this is happening, there's a particular little girl getting picked on again. And no one's helped her. She started to learn the gentle fist. And someone's practicing their Byakugan Sharingan combination. And he gets a hang of extending the range. So instead of just like 10-20 meters, it's now like 30-40 meters. And it's slowly getting bigger and bigger. So she finally sees a little girl getting picked on at the very edge of her range. So she goes straight towards her, and she still has her Byakugan active. And she sees the chakra points, and she starts poking them. And that's the gentle fist style. You use a little bit of chakra, and you infuse your chakra into their chakra points, cutting off chakra to that chakra point, making it hard to mold chakra, or almost impossible. And she called it the gentle prick, because she used her fingernails to prick the chakra point instead of poke it, like the normal gentle fist style does. After she's done completely nullifying these Genin's ability to mold chakra for a while, she looks at the little one and finally turns off her Byakugan. And Hinata mentions that she's never seen her before. And she goes, yeah, I'm new to this entire village. Well, not really, but I'm new here in town. And Hinata offers in a stuttery voice if she wants to walk around town with her and see the sights of the town. And she goes, sure. So they start walking around town. A Hyuga branch member saw the Byakugan active and immediately ran to Hiyashi Hyuga and told him about this. And Hiyashi immediately ran to the fourth after he was done pardoning Itachi's crimes. So Hiyashi's currently in the office of the fourth Hokage, and he's yelling at the fourth to kill the person who stole Hyuga eyes. And he said, no one stole Hyuga eyes. And he goes, that's bull crap, because he just saw someone with Byakugan in both eyes at the wherever Hinata was being bullied. And he says that the culprit is currently with Hinata right now, walking around the village. And he goes, oh, my daughter? And he goes, your daughter stole Hyuga eyes? And he goes, no. But I just got her back, so if you want to touch her, you could go through me first. And he flashes behind Hiyashi with a flying Raijin kunai in his hand, going, if you want to touch her, you must kill me first. And he goes, the council will hear about this. The entire Shinobi Council. And he goes, good. I was about to call the council meeting tomorrow. So we skip to the next day. Hinata and Naruto got along really well. And today, they were supposed to go and practice the gentle fist together because Naruto is kind of interested in how it works and what it looks like. So they were planning that, except Naruto woke up screaming because the mind awakening pill that yes, those pills that Sasuke ate to be in a near-death state, she had when she was 5 from Orochimaru. And she could reach Curse Mark Stage 2 since she was 6. So, yeah, my cat Jack is distracting me. Sorry. So she woke up screaming and immediately transformed into Curse Mark Stage 2. She grew 8 more tails. And her height increased by double. And it's going to keep increasing by double every time that she transforms. Well, not. It won't stay that way. She'll go back to her normal short form after this episode's done. Episode of transformation. And she gains a chakra cloak. And this isn't any normal chakra cloak. This is QB chakra cloak. KCM kind of chakra cloak. So it's like a flaming chakra cloak. And she entered this state and she's still screaming in pain because she doesn't use this state pretty much ever. And for good reasons. It causes her a lot of pain. The entire symbols have spread across her entire body, and it's all kanji. Just a lot of kanji just spreading out across her entire body in red and orange lettering, or symboling. And she's screaming. The 4th Hokage immediately ran in, flared his chakra, which summoned a few Anbu, and he said, call a doctor. Immediately. In her mindscape, Kushina is releasing a seal. And Kurama is currently asking, are you sure that's wise? And she goes, yeah, my husband can deal with it. And he goes, true. So, a doctor runs in, hearing that the 4th daughter is in pain, and barely anybody knows that she's actually the 4th daughter. It's been kept secret by the Anbu, and the people who've been told that she's the 4th daughter have been sworn to secrecy, S-rank secret. Tell anybody, you die. Danzo broke that rule to one of his Anbu, and the one that was the spy was the one he told to spread the rumor. And he had to keep up his persona, so he started spreading the rumors for Danzo. And so on. Danzo's now dead. Root's disbanded. Sai is actually going through the academy now. We're going to go through the academy because they're all the same age. Sai's brother gets the treatment that he needed to survive his illness. So he's not going to die. What else? Oh, all the roots get their tongues unsealed so they can actually talk about what happened in the root. I'm almost done with the things for setup. What else? Ooh, yeah. So later that day, the fourth Hokage is late to the meeting, and one of the Anbu walked into the meeting and said the fourth Hokage will be late because there was family issues. And they all look at the Anbu being like, family issues, what? And he goes, the fourth Hokage will explain once he gets here. That was Kakashi Hatake. They all respect him because he's the copy ninja, the one with 1,000 jutsus, and so on. So they all respect him and they know his power. So they are like, okay, we'll have to wait a little. He gets there 30 minutes late and he runs in being like, sorry, family issues. And he explains the entire situation with Orochimaru and what he did to solve it and how it was solved. Jack, you don't have to run me over. He's trying to run me over. So after that, everybody, and yes, Itachi was part of the council because he's now the head of the Uchiha clan. And they're all confused, and then Hokage told them about Danzo and so on. So Danzo's not a part of the picture anymore. And the rest of the story is going to be really fun. Because I get to change it however the hell I want. Because Orochimaru's dead. For now, obviously, because he's immortal. Orochimaru's dead. Danzo's dead. So yeah. The two most important people in the story from the beginning, gone. Not there. Danzo. Kaput. Poofed out of life. I could say a few more, but I'm not going to. We go 4 years into the future. This is the last year of the academy, and Itachi has gotten close to Naruto, and he's been teaching Naruto about the abilities that the Mangekyo has, because he's not going to live very long, but his EMS has been active for a while. So he's been teaching her the abilities that he has, because he saw that she awakened in EMS. Well, more forcefully awakened. And the Shisui, and he sees that it has Shisui's design and his design combined. And he goes, okay, she might have Shisui's in one of my powers. So she has Amaterasu, Shisui's Genjutsu abilities, and a mixture of Shisui's and Itachi's Susanoo. So yeah, take that as you want. And she has the ability to Susanoo cloak the Nine Tails like Madara did. So we go to the very last day of the academy, and everybody's been staying away from her except for Sasuke, who's talked to her a few times. He trains with her, and Hinata. Hinata has been teaching her the Gentle Fist. Nobody else in the Hyuga clan is willing to teach her. And everybody teaches Hinata via orders of Hiyashi. So Hinata and Naruto are on the same level for the Gentle Fist. Hinata is actually a little bit more in depth with the Gentle Fist because Naruto can't really actually touch Hinata because Naruto kind of told her ninjutsu affinities affect taijutsu styles, which they do. Rock Lee is, if you guys actually you think about it, Rock Lee's taijutsu style is akin to Earth style transformation. Naruto, his taijutsu style is going to be one and done, which is like wind. And yes, I'm giving her the flowing fist like in the Legacy stories, or the Legacy fanfic. But the thing is, the fourth Hokage tested Naruto's affinities. She has every single affinity. So yeah. She also has wood release. So she's going to be a power to be reckoned with. Oh, and she's only gone psycho one time. When she was training with Kakashi, because the fourth wanted to see how far she could go. Kakashi cut her in the wrong spot. So on her arms, perfectly fine, but he cut her on the neck. Very slightly, not enough to draw blood, but just a nick. And this was by a Chidori passing by her face. So it was a little bit wider, and it hit her with one of the lightning strikes. And it flipped a switch in her mind. Kakashi was bedridden for a month. And he knew, okay, don't have her train with any of the immediately needed Jonin. So he goes, okay, all the teachers, when Naruto starts training, all of you need to train with her. And they ask why, and he goes, Kakashi. And they're like, you mean the guy that's bedridden for a month? And he goes, yeah, him. Kakashi Hatake, bedridden by Naruto. And he doesn't even say Uzumaki. He just says Naruto. Because they heard that there was a falling out between the fourth and his daughter. Everybody's heard that. And he doesn't want to release that she is his daughter because he has enemies. And Naruto wants to be known as Uzumaki because of her mother, who's currently still in her head. And the only reason why she didn't kill Kakashi is because of her mother, who told her, no kill. At least him. And she respects her mother too much, or actually, at least relies on her mother too much to not listen. So, Kakashi didn't die, thanks to Kushina. And we now move on to the exam, the final exam. Mizuki hates her. She sees the genjutsu and she repels it. It disappears. The genjutsu, she answers the questions completely right. We go to the taijutsu section. She shows 5 different forms of taijutsu within 1 minute. 12 seconds each against Mizuki. Mizuki is now out for the count. She showed her Fire Fist, her Lightning Fist, her Earth Fist, Goken, Strong Fist, her Flowing Fist, because she kind of copied Hinata a little. Well, no, she completely copied Hinata. And Wind Fist, which is her using her claws to slash the target up. Goken, break bones. Fire Fist, just outside skin damage. She would, it's a little bit ninjutsu in it, but she would cover her fists in fire and try grabbing the target and throwing them around. That's what her Fire Fist would do. So she used Fire Fist. She started throwing Mizuki around. Wind Fist, she cut him up. Goken, Breakbone, Flowing Fist. She just dodged all of his attacks and struck his chakra points that she memorized from just looking at him because of the Sharingan abilities. And then another teacher walks in and be like, "You should have called me instead of Mizuki." And Iruka goes, "I know, Mizuki insisted. Now here's your actual test." So Might Guy walks up and says, "I heard you're a youthful person." And she goes, "Oh God. Yeah, which one do you want? Goken?" Because I know you saw the entire thing. Goken, Fire Fist, Lightning Fist. Lightning is just attacking chakra and pressure points to disable the opponent. And he goes, "Goken against Goken." And she goes, "Okay." So she gets into her basic Goken stance. They go at it for a good minute or two. And Iruka goes, "Stop." And she just catches a punch from Might Guy to stop him. And he goes, "Damn." And she goes, "Yeah." And she lets go, and she bows to him. He bows back. And he goes, "That was useful spar." And she goes, "Oh, God. Can you please quiet down?" And he goes, "Oh, sorry." And he yelled this at the top of his lungs. He was yelling. And at the end, he started just talking normally. And she goes, "One quick thing. Can you please stay this level around me?" And he goes, "Yes." And Iruka sees this and he goes, "Okay, he's on the secret." Iruka was told, all the Jonin senseis, which are going to be chosen, were told, except for Kurenai. Kurenai was just told that she's immune to Genjutsu. And Kurenai's like, "Yeah, I can't teach her anything." And he goes, "Yeah, you can. All the Genjutsu you know." And she goes, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah! She might not be very good at it, but do it." So, all the Jonin senseis walk in at the end of the exam and say, "We're here to pick up our team immediately. And we're all going to be doing it here." All of them except for Kakashi. And they all call out their team members, and friends are with friends. Ina Shikacho is still there. Kiba's group is still there. And finally, Team 7 wasn't called because Kakashi hasn't been shown up. And they all say, "We're going to be doing exercises together. Because there's some people in here that are stronger than others. So, myself, I'm going to be teaching those people who are immune to Genjutsu to cast Genjutsu, because then they can affect other people with what they're immune to. And the people who, mainly Sasuke, Hinata, Shino, and Naruto don't get affected by this, but everybody else gets affected by the Genjutsu that Kurenai just cast. And she finally goes, "So the 4 of you are actually going to be my students. Everybody else, well, except for Naruto, everybody else is going to be going with their own instructors." And she casts Genjutsu on everybody, so everybody hears the same stuff, except for the people who are supposed to go with each teacher. And then she walks out and passes out in the hallway on a chair because of a chakra exhaustion that took her up a lot of chakra. immediately after the demonstration. Everybody started hearing their own explanations, except for Naruto. Naruto is the only one who heard all of their explanations because she was designed to. She physically can't be attacked by Genjutsu because A, Kurama, and B, Mangekyo Sharingan. Completely immune. So, we go to... Finally, it's the first day of teamwork, and Kakashi shows up and goes, I know, I wasn't there, but Team 7, Training Ground 7, let's go. And Naruto's already at Training Ground 7 because she was told to meet everybody at Training Ground 7 by her father. And her father said, be ready. It's going to be confusing. And she goes, what? And he goes, the test you're about to do. And she goes, why? And he goes, well, it's not something you're used to. And she goes, fighting alone? I can do that. And he goes, And she's not expecting this, but he goes, 2 bells. Once it hits noon, we stop for lunch. Whoever doesn't have a bell doesn't eat. And he hooks it on his belt. What he doesn't know is that when he Shunshuin there, he was standing on top of a flying Raijin mark. So he put the bells on his belt and immediately clicked the timer, go. Immediately a yellow flash shows up right next to him and it disappears again back to her spot. And she's jingling the bell. I got one. He goes, what? And she goes, oh yeah, by the way, this is my entire field. He goes, what? And she goes, yeah. So she starts teleporting everywhere. Randomly everywhere. And he follows it all with his shotgun because he opened his shotgun because he was told he needed it. And the only reason why she's not like it, the Legacy fanfic crashing into stuff is because she has the Byakugan and Sharingan combined with the Orochimaru's experiments. So, after 30 seconds of her just teleporting super quick everywhere, Kakashi's like, okay. 1 bell, and if you guys don't get it by the end, whoever doesn't have a bell doesn't eat. And she goes, okay, I have a bell, puts it in the pocket. And she walks over to the 2 people, Sakura and Sasuke, because I'm not going to change the team up yet. Sakura and Sasuke. Sasuke starts talking to her normally, and Sakura finally notices how nonchalant Sasuke is about talking to her. And she starts getting jealous. And finally, Naruto, with her multiple years of seals, gives Sasuke 1 second finger, and he puts a silent seal between her and Sakura. And she is just talking really quickly, and Sakura gets all of it. And she says, I'm not interested in him. None whatsoever. So all the jealousy you're feeling, don't feel it. Because she knows about romantic relationships, but she doesn't know how to feel it herself. She knows what jealousy looks like. She knows what everything looks like. Apart from what she feels. She doesn't know what it feels like, but she knows what it looks like. So Sakura goes, oh, okay. And goes, wait, what? And just starts going completely red. And Sasuke sees this and goes, is she okay? And Naruto finally goes, oh yeah. And puts a silent seal in all three of them and goes, you know that monster that's been roaming around town? And they both go, yeah. And Sasuke goes, oh, you're telling her? And she goes, yeah, I kind of have to. She looks directly at Sakura and goes, well, and she combs her hair back to neaten it up a little, and her ears pop out. She goes, that's me. And she adjusts her clothing so her tail pops out, and she goes, by the way, I would prefer you not touch my tail. Just saying. And she goes, but it looks so fluffy. And she goes, at least I know that she's willing to work with me. So, Naruto takes down the silent seal and they start whispering to each other. Just loud enough that Kakashi can hear them. And Sasuke starts talking about how he's going to take on Kakashi alone. And he can't see them because he's obviously reading his book. But Naruto is starting to use Anbu hand signs, which Sasuke's learned, and she mouths off words to Sakura. And finally, Naruto ends with, fine, you go at it alone. And it sounds like they are fighting amongst each other. And he goes, they're not going to win. So Naruto makes a shadow clone and henges into Sasuke. And Naruto was the ace of the class. Top Konoichi goes with top scorer for the men's side. And then it's just a random person within the class. And the bottom of the class goes with the exact middle of the class. So Chino and Hinata. So after maybe 10, maybe 30 seconds of the clone fighting Kakashi, it dispels. And he goes, oh crap, that was not a Sasuke clone. And he flares his chakra and gets taken out of the Genjutsu that's clone put on him. And the real Sasuke and Sakura are right next to him. Sakura gives him the traditional uppercut, and Sasuke starts fighting him fist to fist. Naruto is currently in the back just observing with her Byakugan and Sharingan active. Or Mangekyo Sharingan, because she can't turn that off. Thankfully, it's an EMS. But she can't turn it off whatsoever. So we go to maybe an hour later. Sakura and Sasuke have worn Kakashi down. They're completely pooped out when Naruto jumps in and finishes off Kakashi. And Itachi was watching the whole thing from a distance with his EMS active, his Sharingan active. He was watching the entire thing. And he was laughing the entire time because he read the Anbu hand signs, and it was a plan for the two weakest people to wear down Kakashi. And then the strongest person, her, immediately bodies Kakashi because he's worn down. Well, it worked so well that Kakashi's like, I give up right before she even hit him. Because he knows he can't last in a taijutsu fight halfway worn down with the Naruto in his face. So he's like, yeah, I'm done. So he calls it off and he goes, you're all getting now. And Naruto finally puts on the headband. She puts it around her neck instead of on her forehead because she wants to hide the curse mark. So it's on her neck. And we go a month later. They've been doing D class missions. Capturing Toro, and it wasn't a very hard thing because Toro was just immediately scared of Naruto because she just walked up and Toro was like, oh god, oh god, oh god, and shivering just right there. So Sasuke just picked up Toro and turned around and she stopped shaking, turned back around, started shaking because of the presence of Naruto. So they're like, yeah, no more capturing Toro missions. So they go to the office and Naruto convinced Sasuke to respectfully ask for a harder mission than just D class. Because she knew if she asked, she would get an immediate attention from her father and an immediate yes. And she didn't want that. What she wanted was a fair mission that both Sasuke and Sakura could learn from. So he goes, sure thing. It's some bandits. They dispatch the bandits really easily. Naruto was told to kill them by her mother, Kushina. And Kushina has been very quiet lately because Naruto is training again. And she knows not to bother Naruto during training or she goes batshit crazy from the overloaded information. The only time when Kushina is needed to stop her daughter is when she goes batshit crazy. So, they get back, they report a successful mission. Fourth is like, okay, I'm going to give you another C rank. It's escorting Tazuna. They start escorting Tazuna, and she's practicing her Byakugan, and notices the puddle before they even get close, because it's now 100, maybe 200 meters. I know that's a long distance, but she's been getting a lot better at her Byakugan. And with the visual prowess of the Sharingan on top of it, it's getting super good. So, from an even further distance out, she noticed the puddle. And she told everybody, we need to go a different road, because... And then she used Anbu hand signs, which she's already taught Sakura how to read them now. She hasn't taught Sakura how to use them yet, just how to read them. Because it takes a while to learn how to use them. Less time how to read them. And she says, puddle, chakra signature. And that's all I needed to know to go around it. So, the Demon Brothers don't show up. But in the Land of Waves, after they get off the boat, Zabuza shows up. He uses Hidden Mist, Byakugan Sharingan activates. She barely sees anything. She sees two people that weren't in the original group. Haku, which is a female in this one, by the way, and Zabuza. So, Haku is currently at a tree far away, and Zabuza is currently using his Hidden Mist technique, and he summons more clones. And she keeps an eye on the original one, and Kakashi's right next to her, so she does the Anbu hand signs with his hand. She grabs his hand and starts doing the Anbu hand signs, and set is left, right, center. 3 different Zabuzas, centers the real. And so he throws a kunai out of nowhere towards the real Zabuza, who he was still trying to focus to make sure this jutsu will stick. Immediately drops the jutsu without a wind element. Great breakthrough. And I'm going to have to end it out in the middle of this fight. For now. I'll finish the rest of this fight today, the day I'm recording. And then I will give you guys an upload one day, and then the next day another upload. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Talk to you soon. Bye.